suppressing free speech and freedom of the press. He said silencing freedom of the press is how dictators get started. So implying that Trump is somehow setting himself up to be dictator-in-chief by suppressing freedom of the press. Even though McCain then threw the caveat, I'm not saying Donald Trump's trying to be a dictator, but I'm just saying that's how dictators get started. Throwing that out there, not corrected at all. Well, here's what's really unfortunate about that, and very few people in the media are talking about this. Just a couple days prior to that, John McCain was in Germany. Germany, of all places, and he was trashing Donald Trump. Now, he didn't say the name Trump, but it was obvious he was talking about Trump. He was going through a litany of Donald Trump's policies and how this is wrong and this isn't American and this is bad for the world and whatever. So he's trashing Donald Trump. And while trashing Donald Trump on foreign soil, he invoked the name of Ewald Heinrich von Kleist. Now, you may not know who von Kleist is. First, let me tell you what McCain said regarding Kleist. He said, quote, now again, he's speaking in Germany. He said, quote, what would von Kleist's generation say if they saw our world today? I fear that much of it would be all too familiar for them, and they would be alarmed by it. They would be alarmed by an increasing turn away from universal values toward old ties of blood and race and sectarianism. They would be alarmed by the hardening resentment we see toward immigrants and refugees and minority groups, especially Muslims. They would be alarmed by the growing inability and even unwillingness to separate truth from lies. They would be alarmed by the more and more of our fellow citizens seeming to be flirting with authoritarianism and romanticizing it as our moral equivalent. Okay, they would be alarmed by this. Who are the they? He says the they is the generation of von Kleist. So he invokes the name von Kleist. You folks know who Ewald Heinrich von Kleist was? He was executed in Nazi Germany in 1945. Why? Because he was part of a plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler. He was one of the would-be assassins of Adolf Hitler. He was part of that plot. So people in Germany know all too well who von Kleist is. Von Kleist is somebody who tried to assassinate Adolf Hitler. And so John McCain, while talking against Donald Trump and suggesting he's some kind of a dictator, a wannabe dictator, invokes the name of von Kleist, the guy who tried to assassinate Adolf Hitler. And he does this in all places on German soil to a German audience. You know, I mean, come on. If a Democrat said something like this, if Harry Reid or Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi said something like this, I would be absolutely hammering the daylights out of them for that. You think because John McCain's a Republican, he gets a pass? No way in the world. Absolutely shame on John McCain for saying such a thing. And what's a real shame about this is John McCain has an extremely illustrious military career. He's a war hero. But I'm not talking about the context of him as a war hero. Just because you're a war hero, that doesn't give you the freedom to never be wrong about anything else. And he's dead wrong about this. Now, did John McCain come right out and say, Donald Trump is a dictator like Adolf Hitler who needs to be assassinated? Did he come out and say that? No, he didn't come out and say that. But come on, folks, what is the purpose? What possible purpose do you have for invoking the name of von Kleist, the Hitler assassination plotter? What possible purpose is there for invoking his name? In the middle of your trashing of Donald Trump and saying how dangerous Donald Trump is and authoritarian and everything else, talking to Germany. It's grossly inappropriate. It is. And then that brings us to the media and how the media's report. Do you realize that most of the mainstream press, not all, but most of the mainstream press is not even reporting that John McCain invoked von Kleist, the would-be assassin of Adolf Hitler, invoked his name while criticizing Donald Trump and saying he's becoming too authoritarian. I've got right here a copy of the Washington Post. All right, here's the Washington Post story on this from the other day. When he gave his speech, John McCain did. Here's what the Post says in their headline, quote, John McCain just systematically dismantled Donald Trump's entire worldview. And then they go through and they report on the stuff that Donald Trump was saying about, or I'm sorry, that John McCain was saying about Donald Trump. They say, John McCain went after Trump hard during a speech at the Munich Security Conference in Germany. And then the Washington Post says, in case there was any doubt that this was about Trump, here's what followed. And then they quote John McCain, but in the quotes, they don't quote him saying, what would von Kleist's generation say if they saw our world today? They would be alarmed by blah, blah, blah. They don't quote the von Kleist part. They start the quote with they, not saying who the they is, they would be alarmed by an increasing turn away from universal values toward old ties of blood and race and sectarianism. They would be alarmed by the hardening resentment. They would be alarmed by they. But Washington Post doesn't tell you who the they is. Now, John McCain's actual words describing the they were, quote, von Kleist's generation. So you know what Washington Post does? They put in parentheses who the they is that he's supposedly talking about, but the parentheses doesn't say von Kleist generation. The parentheses say the founders of the Munich Conference. Okay. Well, the Munich Conference was founded decades ago, so it was founded by people that lived in the same generation as von Kleist. But this is the Washington Post's way of deception through omission. Let's not let anybody know that John McCain invoked von Kleist. Let's not report that. You know why they don't want to report that? Because they know full well that the people who know who von Kleist is are going to go, whoa, is John McCain wink wink suggesting that somebody needs to take out Trump the way they wanted to take out Hitler? Anybody who knows who von Kleist is going to be asking that question and raising an eyebrow. And those who don't know who von Kleist is are going to be like, I wonder who von Kleist is. They'll look him up and they'll go, wow, really? He was the guy that was part of the plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler? So what's the best thing the Washington Post can do? Let's protect the image of John McCain by just leaving that out. Let's not even report what he said, because they know full well that John McCain is hammering Donald Trump. The Washington Post likes that. Let's let him keep hammering Donald Trump. Let's give him credibility. If we report that he brought up von Kleist's name, that'll hurt John McCain's credibility, which will weaken his attacks at Donald Trump. We don't want to do. Come on, folks. I may be sounding conspiratorial to you, but you tell me, what other explanation is there for leaving that out? Don't you think that's kind of an important story, part of the story? I mean, let's think about it. When Barack Obama was president of the United States, I want you to just try to picture for a moment, just picture one of the highest ranking Democrat or Republican senators, one of the highest ranking, longest serving Republican senators. Let's imagine he goes over to foreign soil. He's standing there in Germany, and in Germany is trashing President Obama to the German people and said, you know, what do you think people in von Kleist's time would think about what's happening over here in America right now, huh? I mean, can you even imagine such a thing? How many of you out there honestly believe the Washington Post or any of the rest of the media would leave out that Republican senator invoking Hitler's attempted assassin? So it is just grossly inappropriate, folks. It is. It's wrong. If a Democrat does it, it's dead wrong. If a Republican does it, it's dead wrong. It's all dead wrong. But then also, I have to call John McCain out for his dishonesty, too. Because when he is talking about the von Kleist generation, he says, quote, they would be alarmed by the hardening resentment we see toward immigrants. and refugees and minority groups, especially Muslims. Okay, what hardening resentment toward immigrants? What immigrants is he? Notice how he conveniently leaves off the word illegal. He doesn't refer to them as illegal immigrants, just refers to them as immigrants. So Donald Trump has a hardening resentment toward immigrants. That might be news to his wife, Melania, who's an immigrant.